So this is actually a shorter update than normal, but unusually, we haven't had a whole lot of announcements from the province like we normally would. So I'll start with the update from the province. So the province-wide emergency declaration and stay-at-home order that came into effect on April 8th, it remains in effect, and it remains in effect until May the 20th. We are sadly seeing an increase in young people getting COVID-19. And very unfortunately, you may have seen that in Brampton, a 13-year-old girl died after testing positive, becoming one of the youngest victims of the virus in Ontario. So I'm sure all our hearts go out to that family. Very sad, but I think it reminds us just how important it is to remain diligent. I'll switch gears now because I know that's an emotional item. Golf, the Ontario government continues to face pushback on shutting down several outdoor activities as part of the latest stay-at-home order. As you know, they reversed their decision quite rapidly on outdoor playgrounds. However, many are voicing their displeasure at other outdoor restrictions, including golf. So there's a website set up at change.org. And among them, there's a petition to reverse the decision to close Ontario's golf courses. So it actually currently has over 50,000 signatures on it. Quite a few people who'd like to see golf reopen. There's also a petition on the same website, change.org, to reopen rowing, tennis, pickleball, and picnicking. That has about 36,000 signatures on it. So we'll see what the outcome of that is. Announced today is a new 911 model of care. So the Ontario government is launching this new model, which they're calling the 911 model, which will cover the 33 municipalities across the province and the public health units. This new model of care will ensure that paramedics have more options to provide safe and appropriate treatment for patients while helping to protect hospital capacity. As Ontario's hospitals are facing unprecedented capacity pressures during the third wave of COVID-19, these new models are being developed to enable the paramedics to better support vulnerable patients. So we'll see what comes out of that. The announcement was just today, but more information will be forthcoming. Regarding other announcements, this may be interesting to the elected officials. AMO has partnered with the Lumex Group to offer some training to provide tools to elected officials to build resilience and strength in providing leadership through COVID-19. So as the pandemic wears on, our leaders can become worn down, and this training just provides strategies for elected officials to deal with the high stress situations, support resilience, and provide crisis communication. So I know you have a lot of outreach from your constituents. So for your information, that's taking place on Thursday, May 13th from 9 till 3. And if anyone were interested, please don't hesitate to reach out and we'll give you more information. Switching to the vaccine program. So effective yesterday, Niagara Region's website is reporting that approximately 31% of Niagara's population has been vaccinated. So that's good news. That's approximately 160,000 doses administered. Now for what's happening in Noddle. So we continue to strive to adapt and respond not only to the rapidly evolving COVID-19 pandemic regulations, but also to concerns raised by residents. So we had some outreach in terms of signage, and I think some council members had mentioned this previously. So like last year, digital signs are now being displayed at high traffic entrances to town, educating the public about the provincial stay-at-home order, encouraging compliance, and reminding everyone to be kind to one another during this very difficult time of heightened stress. So the signs have been located at the intersections of John Street East and Queen's Parade, Mary Street and Mississauga, 4 Mile Creek and York, and Lakeshore Road near Newark Park. So the signs say, and there's only so many characters that you can have on the sign, so it says, stay at home order, mask up, physical distance, and always choose kindness. So we'll monitor and see if those messages need to be changed out periodically. Another change you may have seen is that staff has blocked off all of the town picnic tables with safety fencing. That was in an effort to meet the regulations. So I mentioned what things had been closed: baseball diamonds, basketball courts, outdoor exercise equipment, pavilions, skate parks, pickleball courts, and tennis courts, and picnic tables. So all of those things have been closed as per the provincial regulations. We did keep open benches, green space, paths and trails, and playgrounds, again, per the provincial guidance. Oh, and just a reminder about the washroom. So we had planned to reopen the Memorial Park washrooms, but that's being delayed because the amenities in that area have been closed. We do have the public washrooms on Market Street and in Simcoe Park, Queens Royal Park, and Virgil Sports Park that remain open and are cleaned regularly, and they're open from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. So traffic measures. From a traffic perspective, we unfortunately saw an increase in traffic this weekend over last weekend. We had been seeing a steady decline, but there was a spike this weekend. The total incoming cars was 7,768, whereas the weekend prior was 5,523 incoming cars. When we compare to the end of March, just before the stay-at-home order and emergency declaration, we're still at a decrease of 30% from what we'd seen then, but it is an increase, as you can see, from last weekend. So we continue to monitor that. From the Bell Media perspective, we had approximately 62,000 devices entering into Noddle, which is 1,000 less than last week. It was 65% coming from Niagara region, 17% from the GTA, and 7% from Hamilton. So that's down 7% for Niagara region, but up 5% and 1% for GTA and Hamilton, respectively. Incoming into Old Town, we saw 33,500 devices. So that's up about 10,000 from last week, unfortunately. 75% of those devices are coming from Niagara region, which is the same as last week. 12% from the GTA and 5% from Hamilton. So very similar in terms of results from the Bell Media campaign. On to bylaw enforcement and ticketing. So we had a very busy weekend for bylaw last weekend, but with more clarity regarding the regulations and maybe less heightened concern about that from residents, we did see a more calm weekend this weekend from a bylaw enforcement perspective. Enforcement staff continues to engage, explain, educate, and enforce. And we've had over 200 inquiries this month about COVID. The majority of the inquiries are centered around social gatherings, particularly as it relates to our parks, and questions about short-term rentals and whether they should still be operating. So our SGRs are being inspected still, and staff continue to follow up on complaints and then as well proactively review the licensed operators that we have. This week, we did see one short-term rental operator fined for operating during the stay-at-home order, so staff remain diligent about this item. The concern of social gathering in parks still remains high. So while parking enforcement continues to do their typical parking duties, they are also currently being redeployed to do work in terms of monitoring parks to make sure we have adequate bylaw enforcement within our parks. Compliance is generally being achieved, so that's positive, but there have been certain circumstances still when police have to be called in for assistance. We do think, though, that most people are complying with the orders, but of course not all, unfortunately. And so I'll just remind people again, like I do every week, that if there is a complaint about not following the emergency orders, possible contraventions, then you can email covidcomplaints@noddle.com. Any other complaints can be processed through our service request form. And good news. So you may recall that Noddle was voted or nominated for Canada's most beautiful and sustainable event destination. Well, we won, which was really exciting. So during the virtual event, which was hosted by the Sustainable Events Forum, Niagara-on-the-Lake was very proud to be voted the #1 most beautiful and sustainable event destination by those that were in attendance. We had some very fierce competition with big cities like Banff and Vancouver, Montreal, and Quebec City, but never any doubt, we won that title. So I'll just mention that sustainability is important to Noddle, and it's not something that we achieve, but rather a state of mind and something that we're continually striving for and hope for continuous improvement in this area. So we'll just get better and better. Few quick thank yous though on that. Thank you to our community partners for helping to promote the event. A special thanks to Sherry Brick. She created the lovely video and operated as our event champion. And of course, thanks to everyone who tuned in and voted for us. The Shine Light Spread Kindness campaign that I mentioned last week has had just incredible engagement. So we're going to continue to promote this because it's just doing so well. So we'll ask the town and the community who have digital signs or billboards to continue to display those kindness messages and to send in pictures of your sign so we can post it on our website and our social media. So it's kindnessmatters@noddle.com. And thanks again to everyone who's participated in that. Every day we change it up a little bit. So today is kindness through words, where we've been encouraging people to send a kind text, post something positive on social media, or give someone a compliment, or even a simple thank you. It's going very well, so happy to see that engagement. Volunteer Week was last week, and so no surprise, we had lots of kind, thoughtful, compassionate people in Noddle, and they were acknowledged through our social media pages and through our event. So on Friday, April 23rd, all those that were nominated, called Star Volunteers, were acknowledged, and they will receive a special letter of thanks from the Lord Mayor. And then the last update I have for you tonight is about the suggestion about using something a little bit more pictorial to accompany our FAQs. So we took that to heart. Thank you for that suggestion. And you will see that many of our FAQs, like the one associated with what is open and closed in our parks, have now been accompanied with some graphics so that it's a quick and easy read. And we will continue to do that. So thanks again for that suggestion.